Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Karin Helmstedt.
Greetings from Berlin and a warm welcome to our highlights of the week, coming together this time with the following headline stories. Urban art. The Haus is an exciting new project here in Berlin. Going green, a German engineer in his electrically powered classic car. And musical milestone, the German jazz label Act turns 25. Well, once upon a time, it was used to store money and gold bars. And now a former bank here in Berlin is playing host to the city's biggest urban art exhibition to date. 165 artists from all over the world were invited to take part in filling it with street art and installations from every imaginable discipline. The project is called The Haus, Berlin Art Bang, and it was effectively created to be destroyed. The building is slated for imminent demolition, so visitors need to seize the opportunity to see it while they can.
5 floors and 108 rooms of street art. Here, a giant appears to break through the ceiling. Here, a living room is transformed into a forest. Installations and graffiti spread over 10,000 square meters of space, and admission is free.
It's great, the best thing for some time in the urban art sector.
I like the glowing pictures in the dark, even if I'm scared in the dark.
Some of it was very moving. What's been created here is phenomenal.
The street art project was the brainchild of native Berliner Kimo von Rakowski and some friends. At the start, they tried to get all the artists they knew involved. But they never imagined that 165 of them from around the world would take part. They had only 3 months to transform the building.
Our first thoughts were, my God, it's so big, we'll never get it done. We're right on Kurfürstendamm, across from the aquarium. Gucci is to the left. It's the middle of commercial Berlin. People said, what's street art doing here? But we decided to try it anyway.
This street art is entirely legal. Sponsors paid for materials, drinks, and accommodation. The artists were free to create anything they wanted. The result is artworks like this one by the duo One Truth. Seen through virtual reality goggles, this room shows the interior of an Indian bordello. In room 501, around 2 kilometers of tape have been used to make art. Created by Berlin collective Klebebande, it focuses on altering architectural structures.
We all have different ideas working and fermenting in our heads. Here we had the chance to use a whole room and all of its dimensions. Surfaces like the floor, the ceiling, the windows, the heating elements, the doors. We taped over all of it to dissolve the dimensions of the space.
German artist Yasmin Siddiqui from the duo Herakut says in their artwork they want to make a statement against rising nationalism and against hatred in general.
Teach your kids love, or someone else will teach them hate.
That's our message. We have to teach our children how to love. Otherwise, someone will definitely teach them to hate.
The project attracted artists from far and wide, like Guillermo S Quintana from Mexico. His works are only visible in blacklight. These oversized legs are the work of Spanish artist Mario Manqui. He says his art is about egotism in human behavior. He's glad he could take part in this show.
For me, it's important to communicate to the audiences because all I'm doing is to communicate or to say something through art.
Street art is nothing if not individual. But people who want to see this exhibition need to hurry. It ends in May and the building will be demolished in June.
It's part of it. Graffiti isn't forever.
Dust to art and art to dust. That's urban art.
And what do the artists have to say about their works being destroyed along with the building?
Street art is always fleeting.
That's the story of street art. It's temporary.
I liked the idea. There's something final to it. There are finalities in life, too.
But nothing ever disappears completely. Visitors will take with them memories of the show. And of course, there's a catalog as well.
Well, there's a lot of talk these days about how we need to switch to electric cars to save the planet. But what many people don't know is that this idea is actually not new. The first electric-powered motor appeared back in 1882. One auto fan on the Spanish island of Mallorca feels it's high time for electric cars to get a better hold on the market. And so he's married his love for a 1920s Loryc, that's a Mallorca original, with his modern ideal of an environmentally friendly vehicle. Nostalgia, sustainability and creativity all rolled into one.
Charlie Bosch is in no hurry. The more time he spends in his electric-powered classic car remake, the better. The German inventor loves to drive around his beloved island of Mallorca in his Loryc electric speedster.
You can smell the pine trees, especially in the summer. You're just so close to them. You're much closer to nature because you don't have the roar and the stink of the engine anymore. So you can concentrate on the driving.
Charlie Bosch built the car's body using the design of the old Loryc models as his guide. Loryc was a Mallorcan automaker which produced 120 vehicles within 5 years in the 1920s. Due to their speed and agility, they were often used in car races.
They went completely against the current. Back then, in 1920, cars were based on coaches and were incredibly heavy. And because they were so big and heavy, they had huge engines. So they thought, we want to build an ultra-light car because then we can get away with having a small motor. And seemingly, they were extremely reliable cars. Probably because they were built by hand and every single screw was checked carefully.
Today, the Loryc electric speedster is also built by hand. Every car is one of a kind. Everyone looks a little different. Charlie Bosch developed the electric motor himself. The battery ensures a range of 260 kilometers. The car would set you back 150,000 euros if you absolutely had to buy it.
Is selling cars, especially a car like this, in keeping with the times? Do I really have to own it? To drive it for 1 week a year and then lock it up in a garage out of the public eye for the other 51 weeks?
Maybe some kind of car-sharing system would suit the Loryc electric speedster better. Charlie Bosch is still tinkering around with ways to market his cars. He's produced 5 to date. No matter where he takes them, the car is always the center of attention.
Gibt's auch. It's just like a can with wheels.
But onlookers are even more surprised when he opens the hood.
Modern technology in an old car body. That's a good thing.
Electric cars is a good idea. But to make this like an electric car, it's original.
It doesn't pollute the environment.
Electric cars are the future.
Due to the great interest in the Loryc electric speedster, Charlie Bosch has decided to conduct tours of the island. It's a marketing tool to ensure that as many people as possible get to feel what it's like to go for a leisurely spin in an electric car.
Why do I drive around in a Loryc electric with a maximum 40 horsepower? Why do I get so much more pleasure from driving it? If I could transmit that feeling to others, wouldn't many people suddenly realize that, in the end, this notion of ever faster, ever higher, ever farther just leads to a dead end?
Charlie Bosch hopes to become an ambassador for sustainable mobility with a car that links the present with the past.
Well, the Salone del Mobile in Milan is considered the apex of designer summits. The world's largest furniture fair welcomes some 2,000 exhibitors this year. Because the exhibition space is never quite sufficient, related shows and events spread well beyond the fair as the locals abandon themselves to the enjoyment of form and function and color. Well, that meant our reporter covered a lot of ground to give us a roundup of the latest trends.
Innovative designs, eye-catching colors. Today's designers are adventurous. They try to attract attention with new materials, glamour, and glitter. Expert Jan van Rossum says the trend is towards opulence, and the in color is pink.
You see it here with Cartel, which has been known for transparent, relatively simple plastic furniture and is now marketing more luxurious sofas and pop-up like side tables, in this case designed by the famous Philip Stark.
Another eye-catcher? This sofa with a plastic polar bear pelt as a backrest. Jan van Rossum's verdict?
Cozy, even if I'm rather put off by the idea of taking a polar bear that's been shot dead as the backrest of a sofa. But the company is known for not being afraid of anything.
Ceiling decorations are trendy too. And colorful, clean-lined accessories. Along with humorous furniture designs, there are also new, conspicuous color combinations.
This has so much swing to it. It reminds me of the Baroque era. But it's actually a functional, cozy, relatively simple back-to-basics sofa.
Some 2,000 exhibitors are showing their products at the Salone del Mobile, Milan's furniture trade fair. Since there's not room for all of them in the trade fair halls, the city provides additional exhibition space. One important location is the downtown design district Brera. Here, Frenchman Pierre Charpin presents his tile designs for an Italian firm. They're suitable for interiors, but also for public spaces like hotels and airports. The Paris trade fair Objets et Maisons just made Charpin its designer of the year.
These are mass-produced tiles, and they're robust, even when subjected to heavy public use.
The designer in his studio near Paris, where he creates a wide variety of objects, including chairs. Here's a prototype. The French company Ligne Rosée brought out this armchair last year. Charpin has worked with the Italian company Alessi for many years. In 2011, he designed this stainless steel fruit basket. It comes in various sizes.
This is the first step to this object. It's the same with all of Alessi's stainless steel products. A flat sheet is always the starting point. Then come many complicated steps until the machines turn it into a three-dimensional object.
Charpin also displays wit and imagination in his box and vase designs. This lamp was commissioned by a Danish company. He spent 3 years at the computer developing various models.
There's a tension between the round forms you can touch in the front and the rigorous lines of the arms.
Back at the Salone del Mobile in Milan, you'll also find ultra-modern minimalist designs. For example, furniture by German designer Konstantin Gricic.
Clear, pure, simple materials, clear forms, typical German design. You can say, ever since the Bauhaus, that's the kind of design the Germans love and create.
As in fashion, a wide range of styles coexist. These days, pluralism of form is in, and unlikely combinations are definitely de rigueur.
Well, every year the asparagus season is eagerly awaited here in Germany. That's the white variety, of course. But in Britain, it was long considered something of a luxury vegetable. Well, that has changed quite radically over the last decade. And green asparagus is now hugely popular over there. Well, we found one restaurant that serves up a delightfully British asparagus dish with a twist.
The county of Oxfordshire, home to the famous British university city, is known for its green landscape. The asparagus that grows here is green too. John Footman visits the fields regularly to collect spears for the dishes he prepares, and he's not the only one.
There's a lot of demand for the green asparagus. You'll find that in the supermarket. You won't find white asparagus in the supermarket. In Germany and France, yes, but not here. Flavour-wise, the white can be a bit bitter. Takes a bit longer on the cooking, whereas the green isn't.
It's easier to harvest too. Just snap it off at the bottom and leave the hard part in the ground. Asparagus is slow growing back, so the season lasts only to the end of June. Supermarkets still carry it later, but you should make sure it's fresh.
What you're looking for in asparagus, you want a nice colour to it, shine. And also when you break it, you want to hear it snap. And that will tell you that it's fresh.
Footman needs asparagus for one of his specialties, poached chicken with black truffle. He buys the poultry in Oxford's Covered Market, which opened almost 250 years ago. Footman serves modern English cuisine as head chef at the Oxford Kitchen. The restaurant has twice been named the best in southern England, partly because the chef pays attention to how he combines ingredients.
Chicken's never going to be a strong flavoured meat, so what you put with it's got to complement it, and asparagus I feel works very well with that because it's got a slightly earthy flavour to it. Doesn't have masses of flavour to overpower the chicken, and it's about having a balance on the dish.
He uses the tender breast of the chicken, removing every tendon. He slices the pieces open in the middle, salts them and lays truffles on them. He has a tip for people who don't want to spend too much money.
Summer truffles are a lot cheaper, so you could use them at home quite freely. I'd just say when you're using them, just slice them very, very thinly because they are quite firm. So to eat them, to have a nice texture, they need to be very thinly sliced.
Footman wraps up the stuffed pieces of chicken breast and poaches them at 70 degrees Celsius for 45 minutes. That lets the meat soak up the truffle flavor. Meanwhile, he prepares the vegetables. Unlike white asparagus, green asparagus does not have to be peeled, except when a spear is too thick.
The slightly younger ones, they're not as fat. What I'm doing is just taking off the spears, just to create a nice little point at the top. Just for presentation, really. I mean, the main reason for peeling is when it becomes a bit too tough.
Cut off the woody ends and briefly blanch the asparagus. Boil it in salted water until it's al dente. Don't keep it too long in the water or it becomes mushy.
It's a green vegetable. It needs to be cooked quickly to maintain the greenness. If you cook it too slow, you're going to lose the colour and the flavour and all the vitamins in it. So.
Then prepare the rest of the vegetables. Footman sautés mushrooms in butter with a squirt of lemon juice. He blanches peas and broccoli. Finally, he cuts up the chicken, arranges the food, and serves. Truffle chicken with green asparagus and a mixture of mushrooms, peas, and broccoli. It's a huge hit at the Oxford Kitchen, and many guests most probably wish the asparagus season was a little longer.
Well, finally, the music scene in Germany gets most of its international recognition for, on the one hand, its tradition of first-class orchestras and classical music, and on the other, for the younger generation, for its popular electronic and club beats scene. But many talented and classically trained jazz musicians also have to get a note in edgewise, and for 25 years now, the German jazz label ACT has been promoting young talent. And so for that anniversary, we got the story behind the name.
Birthday wishes from Niels Landgren. The Swedish trombonist has been with ACT Music for ages. He's now also a talent scout, producer, and advisor.
At ACT, I can realize my dreams. We can all do that, I think. And label boss, Siggy Loch, realizes his dreams through us.
ACT's artists do indeed see themselves as one big family. All for one and one for all, that's the motto. It's more than a cliche. Siggy Loch's label wouldn't work as a business without this sort of living room intimacy.
You can't find another company that does so much for the artist and that loves music as much as Siggy does. I mean, he really, he has great respect for the art, and that's very rare in the music business.
Before Loch was able to make his youthful dreams of starting a jazz label reality, he worked his way up in the recording industry, ending up as European president of Warner Music. He remembers the golden ages of pop music well, from the Rolling Stones to Fleetwood Mac to Rod Stewart. In 1992, he founded ACT.
I had at least one big advantage. I knew lots about how to market records. And I had a certain financial independence. I didn't have to develop a business model so that I could live off it. I just had to realize a vision.
A major element of this vision is promoting young musicians from all over Europe. One of them is Michael Wolny. Loch first heard his compositions on a CD identified only as M. Loch was electrified, but he didn't know who the musician was.
Then I met him and heard him for the first time live. I knew that this was one of the greatest talents I had ever come across in my long career.
Wolny is part of the vanguard of ACT. He's somewhat interested in getting more people turned on to jazz.
It's about young people, attracting them laterally, if you will. It's about people who are more interested in classical music, or have been brought up on pop, but who are getting more and more into improvised and instrumental music.
ACT has just turned 25. Time to celebrate, but also to reflect. 2008 was a sad year for ACT. Swedish pianist Esbjörn Svensson drowned at the age of 44.
Esbjörn Svensson's death was the darkest day of my life. I was 58 when it happened, and I thought, maybe that's it.
For the better part of a decade, Svensson and his trio, EST, were considered a group capable of reinvigorating jazz. Now, to mark ACT's anniversary, the pianist's sons, guitarist Ruben and drummer Noah, have revived memories of their father's music. Perhaps they'll soon be the newest members of the ACT family.
I wouldn't be surprised after playing with him today.
A new generation is already in sight for Ziggy Loch's ACT family.
Well, time certainly flies when you're having fun. I was off in the music there, and with that, it is time for us to sign off. So until we meet again, alles Gute aus Berlin. Auf Wiedersehen and bye-bye.